nearly 24 people stranded on the side of the road. It came after they filled their tanks at a gas station, they say, in southeast Georgia.
As News4Jack's reporter Corley Peel tells us, drivers are now facing mechanical repairs.
Why do two identical cars driven the exact same way have such different lifespans? One hits 300,000 miles easily, while the other is dead in the scrapyard by 80,000. The answer is usually found at the gas pump.
I filled up, made it maybe a mile on the highway going to Jacksonville, and then the car just started shaking and stopped running.
If you are filling up at the wrong places, you are slowly coating your engine's lungs with tar. I am going to show you the 11 brands you need to avoid like the plague, and the 5 holy grail brands that actually clean your engine while you drive. But first, we need to talk about the Frankenstein Fuel that is silently destroying engines across America. The 70% problem. To understand why this is happening, we first have to look at what is actually coming out of the nozzle. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. Not all gasoline is created equal. I know, gas is gas, right? That is what the oil companies want you to believe, but that could not be further from the truth. What most people do not realize is that gasoline, in its raw form coming down the pipeline, is basically a commodity. It is all the same juice until it hits the distribution terminal. That is where the magic or the tragedy happens. This is where companies add their additive packages, and this is where your engine's fate is sealed. See, modern engines are incredibly sensitive. We are not driving 1970s V8s anymore that could run on moonshine and prayer. Today's engines use gasoline direct injection, or GDI. In the old days, fuel was sprayed over the intake valves, washing them clean every time you drove. It was like a self-cleaning oven. But with GDI, the fuel shoots directly into the combustion chamber. The valves never get a bath. They just sit there, collecting carbon, soot, and oil vapors from the PCV system. This is where the detergent package becomes life or death for your car. If the fuel does not have a high enough concentration of detergents, specifically something called polyetheramine or PEA, that carbon builds up fast. I am talking rock-hard deposits that choke your engine's airflow. It is like trying to breathe through a straw that is slowly getting clogged with cement. And here is the deal. The EPA sets a minimum standard for detergents. But that standard was set way back in the 90s. It is woefully inadequate for modern high-pressure engines. Top automakers like BMW, GM, and Toyota realized this years ago. They looked at the EPA standards and said, "This is garbage. This is going to bankrupt our warranty departments." So they created a higher standard called Top Tier. Top Tier fuel has 2.5 times the cleaning power of the legal minimum. But here's the catch. It costs the gas stations money to add those extra chemicals. And when you are a budget brand fighting for pennies, guess what gets cut first? You guessed it. The detergents. So when you pull into a station that is not top tier, you are literally rolling the dice with your engine's lifespan. You are saving maybe $3 on a fill-up, but you are causing thousands in long-term damage. But there is a wild theory circulating among mechanics that goes even deeper. Some insiders believe this lack of detergent is intentional. Think about it. If cars lasted for 500,000 miles like they used to, nobody would buy new ones. By allowing these low-quality fuels to flood the market, engines get gunked up right around the time the warranty expires. It feels like planned obsolescence disguised as bad gas. You start noticing a rough idle, maybe a little hesitation. You take it to the dealer and they say you need a carbon cleaning service for $800. It keeps the service departments in business. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. We have not even touched on the water contamination, the sediment, or the Frankenstein blends yet. We are about to count down the 11 worst offenders. These are the places mechanics secretly hate or love, depending on if they need the extra work. But you need to know who they are before you put the nozzle in your tank again. Why cheap gas costs more. Let's start with the places where you buy your milk and eggs, because convenience is often the enemy of longevity. Number 11. Safeway gas stations. You see the rewards points, you see the discount per gallon, and you think you are winning. But let me tell you what is happening inside your combustion chamber. Safeway's business model is groceries, not fuel. Fuel is just a loss leader to get you into the store. Because of this, they often source their fuel from the absolute cheapest bidder on the spot market. Independent tests have shown their detergent levels are frequently scraping the bottom of the barrel, barely meeting those outdated EPA minimums. I had a customer with a 2018 Honda Civic. Great car, usually bulletproof, but at 85,000 miles it was misfiring like crazy. The intake valves were so caked with carbon I literally had to chisel it off. She swore by Safeway gas because she got 10 cents off a gallon. She saved maybe $50 over the life of the car but handed me $2,000 to physically clean her engine. That math just does not add up. Number 10. 7-Eleven gas. This one is a nightmare for consistency. You would think a massive global brand would have standards, right? But 7-Eleven operates on a franchise model. They do not refine their own fuel. They buy whatever is available and cheap in that specific region. One station might have decent gas. The next one, 3 miles away, might be pumping swill. The biggest issue we see with 7-Eleven is tank maintenance. These are often older stations, sometimes bought from other defunct brands. The underground tanks crack and seep. Groundwater gets in. I had a guy bring in a Toyota Camry last week. He filled up at a 7-Eleven, drove 10 miles, and the dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. The gas in his tank was 18% ethanol. The pump said 10%. That extra ethanol attracts water from the air like a magnet. His fuel lines were corroding from the inside out. There is a theory here too. Some people believe that these franchise stations deliberately mess with the pump calibration. Have you ever noticed that sometimes 10 gallons feels like it goes faster than other times? It is called the air in the line trick. If the pump is sucking air because the underground tank is low, the meter still spins, charging you for vapor instead of liquid. You are literally paying for air. And 7-Eleven stations, which are often run by small franchise owners trying to survive on thin margins, are prime suspects for this kind of corner cutting. Number 9. Sam's Club. Hands down, this is where I see the most dirty fuel issues. We are not talking about chemistry here, we are talking about physical dirt. Sam's Club moves massive volume. That sounds good in theory. Fresh gas, right? But when you are pumping that much fuel, the filters on the pumps get hammered. If they are not changed religiously, they blow out. I worked on a Ford Explorer with 42,000 miles. It was running like it had 150,000. It would not idle. It stalled at red lights. We pulled the fuel filter, and I kid you not, it looked like it was full of coffee grounds. That is sediment from the bottom of the storage tank getting stirred up by the high volume and pushed right into your car. Sam's Club is not top-tier certified. They aim for price, period. And your fuel injectors are the ones paying the bill. Number 8. Circle K. This one is sneaky because they are everywhere. You see that red K and think it is safe. But Circle K is notorious for buying distressed fuel loads to save money. We have seen engines gummed up with varnish, a sticky yellow residue that forms when fuel sits too long or is not stabilized properly. But the real horror story here is water separation. In 2020, multiple Circle K stations in the South were busted for selling phase-separated fuel. That is when the ethanol pulls so much water out of the air that it separates from the gas and sinks to the bottom of the tank. Since the pump pulls from the bottom, you get a gallon of water and alcohol, not gas. A Chevy Tahoe came in on a flatbed. The owner filled up on Sunday. Monday, it was dead. The fuel pump was toast. The injectors were rusted shut. Total bill was $3,400, all from one tank. Number 7. Murphy USA, Walmart. You find these in the Walmart parking lots. Again, the goal here is to be the cheapest price on the sign no matter what. To cut costs, Murphy USA often skimps on the additive packages. And get this, in 2018, stations in Texas and Louisiana were investigated because dozens of cars stalled immediately after leaving the pumps. The issue is inconsistent ethanol blending. Modern cars can handle 10% ethanol. But when quality control slips and you get 15% or 20% in a car not designed for it, the computer freaks out. The fuel trims go haywire, the engine runs lean, and you risk burning valves. A 2017 Silverado I saw had carbon scoring on the cylinder walls at 68,000 miles. The owner saved pennies at Murphy USA, but ended up needing a partial engine rebuild. There is another layer to this: the ethanol agenda. Some conspiracy theorists think the push for higher ethanol content in cheap gas is not about the environment. It is about farming subsidies. Corn growers have a massive lobby. They need to sell that corn. So we get fuel that attracts water, corrodes, rubber seals, and lowers your gas mileage. It is a product designed to sell corn, not to run cars. And budget stations like Murphy USA are the dumping ground for this low-quality, high-ethanol mix. The truck stop trap. Now we are moving away from the bargain bins and into the brands that pretend to be high quality but are often selling subpar products at a premium. Number 6. Speedway. Speedway has great marketing, bright lights, catchy jingles. But look under the hood. Speedway is another brand that relies on mixed sourcing. They do not have a proprietary refinery-to-pump chain like the big boys. They are buying off the rack. The result is inconsistency. One week you might get a batch with decent detergents. The next week it is bare minimum. Your car's computer hates this. It is constantly trying to adjust the timing and fuel mixture to compensate for the changing fuel quality. This causes long-term stress on the catalytic converters. I have seen Speedways selling gas that was so high in sulfur it triggered catalyst efficiency codes on brand new cars. That is a $1,500 part ruined because the gas was not refined properly. Number 5. Love's travel stops. Truckers love Love's. But big diesel rigs have massive filtration systems that your Honda Civic does not have. The gasoline side of Love's is often neglected. We see a lot of microbial growth issues here. Yes, you heard that right. Bacteria can grow in fuel tanks if there is moisture present. It creates a sludge that looks like green jello. A family on a road trip filled their minivan at a Love's in Arkansas. They made it 73 miles before the van died on I-40. The fuel filter was completely blocked with this biological slime. We had to drop the tank and professionally steam clean it. It cost them their vacation and $2,300. Love's is not top-tier certified. They focus on volume and diesel, and the four-wheelers are just an afterthought. Number 4. Amoco, the new version. This one breaks my heart because Amoco used to be the gold standard. The Amoco Ultimate Clear Gas was legendary, but that company is gone. BP bought the rights to the name. Now, standard Amoco stations are often just rebranding generic BP fuel, and in some regions it is not even that. The regular grade Amoco fuel has been criticized for weak detergent levels compared to the old days. I had a 2019 Malibu come in. The owner drove specifically to Amoco thinking he was buying heritage quality. At 61,000 miles, the car ran like a tractor. The intake valves had deposits so thick you could not even see the metal stem. He was paying for a ghost. Don't let nostalgia trick you into destroying your engine. Number 3. Pilot Flying J. If you know the history here, you know why you should be skeptical. This company was at the center of a massive FBI investigation for rebate fraud. If they were willing to cheat their biggest trucking clients out of millions of dollars, do you really think they care about the quality of the 87 octane going into your sedan? The culture of a company matters. We see constant reports of particulate matter in pilot gas. It is dirty. It clogs injectors. A guy with a Cummins diesel, a $60,000 truck filled up at Pilot exclusively. His injectors were scored and leaking fuel into the cylinders, which washed away the oil and ruined the piston rings. $8,700 in damage. He thought he was using a pro station. He was wrong. There is a wild theory here about the summer blend scam. Gas stations are required to switch to a different blend of fuel in the summer to prevent evaporation. This summer blend is more expensive to make. The theory goes that some of these massive truck stop chains keep selling the cheaper winter blend well into June and July to pocket the difference. The problem? Winter blend evaporates faster in the heat. So your gas tank literally loses fuel into the atmosphere and your car runs rich and sluggish. It is another way they might be skimming profits off your back. Number 2. Sunoco regular grade. This is the biggest deception in the industry. You see the official fuel of NASCAR stickers everywhere. You think if it is good enough for a race car doing 200 miles per hour, it is good enough for my Camry. But here is the catch. The race fuel they use on the track is a custom high-octane brew that costs ungodly amounts of money. The regular 87 unleaded at the pump, it is often bottom-tier swill. Sunoco's regular grade has repeatedly shown up in mechanics forums as a cause for super knock or LSPI. This is when the fuel ignites too early because of carbon hotspots in the cylinder. It sounds like marbles rattling in a tin can, and it can crack a piston in seconds. I have seen more knocked-out engines running Sunoco regular than almost any other major brand. It is branding, not engineering. The ultimate engine destroyer. We have talked about low detergents and dirty tanks, but number one is in a league of its own, involving practices that can only be described as criminal. Number one, the waste fuel blenders. There is a dark side to the fuel industry called transmix or reclaimed fuel. Sometimes distributors engage in illegal blending. This is not just skimping on quality, this is criminal activity. There have been cases like the Lamb fuel scandal where companies were accused of taking hazardous waste, used motor oil, industrial solvents, dry cleaning chemicals, and refinery sludge and filtering it just enough to mix it into the gasoline supply. They blended at a ratio of maybe 5% or 10% into the tanker truck. Why? Because hazardous waste costs money to dispose of properly. You have to pay specialized companies to take it away. But if you sell it as gas, you turn a disposal fee into a massive profit. It is pure greed. They are literally burning their trash in your engine. But your engine was not built to burn dry cleaning fluid or hydraulic oil. I saw the aftermath of this firsthand. A family filled up at a no-name station that was buying this discount blended fuel. They made it 31 miles. The engine did not just stop, it seized solid. When we drained the fuel, it smelled like paint thinner and old tires. It had dissolved the oil film on the cylinder walls. The pistons welded themselves to the block. We are talking about a total loss. $7,000 for a new engine because some distributor wanted to make an extra buck. This chemical cocktail burns hotter and dirtier than anything else. It melts catalytic converters, destroys O2 sensors, and corrodes aluminum head gaskets. If you ever pull up to a pump and the price is 20 or 30 cents lower than everyone else in town, you have to ask yourself, why? Is it a deal or is it a disposal site? And this leads to the wildest theory of all, the organized crime connection. Rumors have circulated for years that organized crime rings are heavily involved in the fuel transport business. It is the perfect cash business. They can steal fuel from pipelines, mix it with adulterants, and sell it to shady independent stations for cash. There is no paper trail. Think about it. We have seen credit card skimmers at pumps for years. That is low-level stuff. The real money is in the fuel itself. By diluting 10,000 gallons of gas with 1,000 gallons of waste oil or naphtha, they generate pure profit. And who pays the price? You do. Your car starts smoking, your check engine light comes on, and you think it is just bad luck. But it is not bad luck. You were the victim of a heist. There are even whispers about the octane illusion. You pay for 93 premium, but the underground tank is actually filled with 87 regular mixed with a cheap octane booster that evaporates in a day. The pump says premium. The price says premium. But your engine knocks like it is running on kerosene. It is the perfect crime because unless you take a fuel sample to a lab, you will never know for sure. You just know your car feels sluggish. This is why sticking to the big, transparent brands is so critical. The shadowy world of unbranded fuel is the Wild West. And in the Wild West, there is no sheriff to save your fuel pump. Mechanic's choice. Fortunately, not every station is out to wreck your car. There are companies that are actually doing it right. These are the brands that I put in my own truck, the truck that hit 400,000 miles on the original Hemi engine. You do not get there by accident. You get there by using fuel that cleans as it burns. This is the gold standard for a reason. Techron is not just marketing fluff. It is a patented polyethyramine additive that is incredibly effective at scrubbing metal. It attacks the carbon bonds at the molecular level. I have torn down engines with 150,000 miles that lived on Chevron. The intake valves look like they were installed yesterday. No buildup, no ridges, just clean metal. When your valves are clean, your airflow is perfect and your gas mileage stays high. It is worth the extra few cents. Chevron was actually the first company to launch a top-tier gas. They saw the problem with GDI engines coming a mile away and developed Chevron to fix it. They treat their fuel like a science experiment, not a commodity. And honestly, hands down, it is one of the safest bets you can make. Shell takes a different approach. They use a nitrogen-enriched cleaning system. Think of it like a non-stick coating for your engine internals. It does not just clean, it leaves a microscopic barrier that prevents new gunk from sticking. Shell V-Power is the only fuel I know of that is engineered to defend against gunk and corrosion simultaneously. A customer with a Lexus 350, a car known for carbon buildup issues, ran strictly Shell for 195,000 miles. We scoped the cylinders and they were spotless. The compression was factory perfect. That is the power of premium chemistry. Shell also invests heavily in testing. They work with Ferrari. If a fuel is good enough to run in a Formula One car engine at 15,000 RPM, it can handle your daily commute. The additive package in their premium fuel is 7 times the EPA minimum. 7 times. Exxon is all about consistency. They have more patents on fuel technology than almost anyone. Their Synergy formula is designed to be a total engine protection package. What I like about Exxon is that their regular unleaded is excellent. You do not have to buy premium to get the good detergents. They put the Synergy package in all 3 grades. I worked on a Toyota Tundra with 340,000 miles that ran on Exxon regular its whole life. When we pulled the valve covers for a timing job, the inside of the engine was gold. No black sludge, no varnish. That is a sign of clean combustion. There is a comfort in the size of Exxon. They control the whole chain. From the ground to the pump, they are watching the quality. They are less likely to have those rogue franchise issues because their corporate oversight is intense. They track every tanker truck like it is carrying gold bars. I know, it sounds crazy. The place where you buy bulk toilet paper? But Costco is a sleeper hit in the car world. Their fuel is certified top tier. In fact, independent labs have found that Costco often uses 5 times the required detergent amount. But the real secret to Costco is turnover. They sell so much gas that the fuel in their underground tanks never sits for more than 48 hours. It is always fresh. You never get stale gas at Costco. Plus, their filter maintenance program is obsessive. They change pump filters long before they clog. You get premium quality at a discount price. It is the unicorn of the industry. There is a theory that Costco does this on purpose to hurt the big oil brands. They barely break even on gas. They sell it at cost just to steal customers from Shell and Chevron. And you know what? It is working. Mechanics love Costco gas because it is consistently clean, fresh, and potent. If you have a membership, use it. Wait, did I not just trash Amoco? Here is the nuance. The regular Amoco gas can be hit or miss, but the specific BP/Amoco Ultimate Blend, their premium product, is arguably the best cleaning fuel on the planet right now. BP claims their Invigorate additive can actually reverse engine damage. And honestly, I believe them. I have seen engines that were stumbling and rough idling switch to BP Ultimate for 3 tanks and the problem disappeared. The detergents are strong enough to eat away old carbon deposits that other fuels left behind. It is like a detox for your car. I had a buddy with a turbocharged Subaru. It was knocking, pulling timing, running terrible. He thought the engine was blown. I told him, run 3 tanks of BP Ultimate through it before we take it apart. By the 2nd tank, the knock was gone. The car felt faster. The idle smoothed out. It was like magic, but it was just chemistry. The Invigorate formula targets the intake valves specifically, blasting away the crud that suffocates the engine. There is a genuinely fascinating angle emerging here regarding the future of fuel, and it says a lot about where the automotive industry is actually heading. You might think big oil companies are just coasting, but BP is investing heavily in this specific technology. Why? Because they have crunched the numbers and realized a critical truth. As new car prices skyrocket, the era of trading in your vehicle every 3 years is ending. People are holding on to their cars longer than ever before. The statistics back this up. The average age of a car on the road today is now over 12 years. That is a record high. We are looking at a fleet of aging machines that require more care to stay reliable. An engine that has clocked over 100,000 miles is far more sensitive than a brand new one. It can't tolerate low-quality combustion. These older cars need better fuel just to survive. Recognizing this, BP has brilliantly positioned itself not just as a gas station, but as the provider of an anti-aging serum for your car. They are marketing active engine protection that fights the natural decay of internal components. And I have to be honest, this isn't just marketing fluff. From what I have seen personally in the shop, it actually works. When we open up engines that have been consistently run on top-tier, cleaning fuels, the difference is night and day compared to those running on the cheapest pump gas available. We see cleaner valves, better functioning injectors, and significantly less carbon buildup. BP is essentially betting that while the world waits for electric vehicles to take over, there are millions of drivers who just want their current paid-off truck or sedan to run like new for another 5 years. And they are providing exactly the right product to make that happen. Is it really worth saving $3 at the pump if it costs you your engine? The evidence is in the teardowns. The mechanic's bay does not lie. Are we missing a key detail about your local station? Maybe. But until you know for sure, stop feeding your car junk food. Hit that like button if you want your engine to last, and subscribe for more truths the industry tries to hide.